Welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast, the podcast that gives you immediate actions you can take to start seeing life-shifting results now. Welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast. This is Mark Cardone.
And Theron Feidt.
So we've talked about habits before on the show, but this episode is different because we are addressing 3 specific habits that will transform your life this year.
That is a big claim. I love it.
I mean, we love doing, 3 tips, 3 things you can do. And what I really like about this topic and this episode is, I mean, these are things that, I mean, if you put these into action, today, tomorrow, as we're going through this week, even just for like 5 to, for a week, if you just did this for a week, you would see great substantial results. So I'd love to hear some feedback from people who do this. Some of our listeners who do this, like, message us and let us know how this goes, because this is a really cool topic.
Well, I think oftentimes people, and we all do it, we discount the little things. The little nice coffee mug. If you're listening, it's Fortnite. You said
it's a Fortnite unicorn.
Unicorn, got it.
Yeah.
So you distracted me with that outstanding coffee mug. So what I was saying is, oftentimes when we all do it, we discount the little things and what they really mean. And this is what we're talking about. It's those daily little details that you can adjust and change, that over the long run, the compound effect, Kaizen, whatever you want to term it as, it builds. Each day builds on the next day. And what happens after a week, a month, and certainly a year, you start seeing great results, and that's, and so success doesn't have to be complicated. And oftentimes it's simple, but don't think simple and easy are the same thing, because they're not, right? Simple and easy are not necessarily the same. Oftentimes the simple things aren't easy.
Yeah.
Getting up in the morning, working out, all those things, they're simple. Just do it. But they're not always easy to do, and that's what we're gonna talk about. Things that are simple to do, but are gonna take a little bit of motivation, a little bit of discipline, a little bit of whatever you need to do to make them happen.
I think you're absolutely right. My pre-frame to people who are listening to this right now is, you're going to hear these things and you're going to go, oh, that makes a lot of sense, and that's really simple, but we still spend all our time scrolling social media, waiting for that, not taking action, waiting for that easier answer that doesn't exist, right? If it's easier than this, then someone's selling something, right?
Yes.
So, I think this is a great breakdown. So let's get into it. Number 1, our 3 actionable tips, our habits. Number 1 is start your day with intention.
Yeah.
And I mean, people talk about intentionality all the time, right? Like actually make sure what you're doing for a reason.
And get up. It depends on if you're a morning person or not. Some people take a little while to get up and wake up. I like to wake up and I just go. I could work out 5 minutes out of bed if I needed to. Usually I take a little bit longer than that. But if you take an hour, that's fine. Just build it into your time zone. But start your day, like you said, start your day with I like thinking of your top priority. So what's your intention for the day? What's your top priority? What's going to get you going? What's going to make the biggest difference in your life if you do it today?
A funny story about this, because like I started in my teens with a Franklin Covey planner, right? And the planner had a to-do list in it that was, I don't know what, maybe 20, 25 lines, like the whole left side of the page. And I would fill that in, and then as I developed, kind of through different journals and things like that, I remember the 5-minute journal had 1 priority for the day, and I used to think, that's ridiculous. Like, I can't pick one thing. I have all these things to do. And, I think people get caught up in that trap where really, on any given day, if you really kind of self-talk yourself, you'll be able to find one thing that if you did it, it would just scratch that itch for the day. It would help you move that one thing forward. It could be, exercise. It could be, phone calls. It could be anything, but waking up and thinking, what is that thing that if I did it today, I would feel super accomplished, and then making sure you write that down.
Yeah. And we've talked about setting yourself up the night before. So certainly that can work very, very well. Is you as you review your day, you think, what do I want to accomplish tomorrow? And that way, when you wake up, you're not spending time thinking about what you need to do, but you're starting your day intentionally. That's the whole idea. So figure out what works for you, figure out what's going to get you going, but really starting with intention and not just wasting your day, but what do I want to accomplish today? And like we said, it doesn't have to be something huge. It can be something small, but it's leading you in the direction that you want to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great tip. And then, number two, so number one, start with intention. Number two, adopt what we're calling a keystone habit.
Right.
And when and really what this is it's something that kickstarts you. It's something that has that positive influence
Right.
over your day. And when I think about this, one of the first things I think of is, I mean, and this goes back years. I don't even know if this is still available, but Tony Robbins used to have the Get the Edge where he talked about his hour of
Yep.
power.
Yep. Hour
Um,
power. Yep.
and I remember like that still to this day, not in entirety, but in components of it, is what I do in the morning to kickstart my day, to really get
Yeah.
myself going.
Yeah. I think he said, so it was the hour power. If you can't do an hour power, it's 30 minutes to thrive. If you can't do 30 minutes, it was 15 minutes to, I don't remember what.
Fulfillment.
Fulfillment. Okay. So it did, I knew it rhymed. I wasn't sure what word to use. So the whole idea behind that is, especially starting out, you might not have an extra hour in your morning to get going. So can you do 15 minutes? Can you do 10 minutes? Can you do 5 minutes and work your way up? And what you're going to find, like everybody does, especially if you're really doing something that's going to change your life, the 5 minutes is going to turn into 10 to 15, and then you probably will increase it to the hour or very close to, because it feels so good. So we talked about, of course, exercise. It could be journaling. It could be reading. It could be having coffee with your spouse. I mean, it could be a bunch of different things that's just going to start your day. And what are some, like we label this as keystone habits, things that if you do them and you do them every day, it's going to lead you towards greater results.
One of the things I really like about these habits is, sometimes, believe it or not, we wake up not in the mood, not in the mood to do the
I don't
day,
believe it. Not
right?
our
Like,
listeners.
oh my goodness, like, like those days that the alarm, the opportunity clock goes off and we
Right.
are just meh, right? And sometimes, and people say this who go to the gym a lot, like sometimes making yourself go to the gym, you know, starts the rest of the day going in the right direction. So even
Right.
when they don't feel like it, that's their keystone habit. And whether yours
Yeah.
is, gratitude, journaling, whatever, try
Yeah.
to find those things that put the rest of the day into place.
Well, I mean, we've talked about this before. I mean, motivation is great, and we should try to stay motivated and motivate yourself, and that's all part of it. But many times we just need discipline. Just like with our kids, if you have young kids, if you let them just do whatever they want to do, it's probably going to be laziness, I would imagine. And just like most of us would be, we'd be lazy if we didn't have responsibilities, we didn't have to pay the bills, we didn't have to do whatever. What would we do? Nothing, right? That is something. So with kids, we have to discipline them and then teach them the power of self-discipline, so that way they want to do it themselves. And once you feel that sense of accomplishment, once you feel like I'm moving in a direction and it feels good and it's a natural high, you're going to want to do more of it. That's part that helps with your motivation. But also going back to, like you said, just do it sometimes.
Yeah.
Nike had it right many, many years ago. Just do it. And it's that discipline that you need to give yourself to get there. How often do we hear parents and even adult students say, I didn't want to really come to karate today, but I'm so glad I did. I feel great afterwards. All right. Every time they don't want to come and they do come, what happens? They feel great, right?
Yeah.
It happens every single time. So we know, and Tony Robbins, I'm sure somebody said this before him, but this is his big thing way back when, and I'm sure he says it now, is action creates motivation, and it really does. You just do it, you just start taking action, and then you feel like doing it more, and you are always glad that you did.
Yeah. So, and then, so let's get into habit number three. So habit number three is setting up a week, and we've talked about this before, but setting up a weekly review to
Yeah.
is to look at your progress and to adjust goals as you need to. Right. So
Yeah.
whenever,
Yeah.
maybe Sunday night or at the end of the week, let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think this is super important for many reasons, but one of the main reasons that I can think of is if the habits that you're doing, whether conscious or subconscious, that you're doing aren't serving you, you need to be aware of that. And the sooner you're aware of it, the sooner you can change and adjust and make them better.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody could have a year of martial arts experience, right? But what if they don't get better in that year? Do they really have a year of martial arts experience? I would argue, I mean, technically yes, but really they don't skill wise because they don't have a good teacher, they're not working hard. Just because you're doing something for a long period of time doesn't mean that you're good at it
Yeah.
if you're not improving. I mean, you in the real estate business, you've seen a lot of business owners. How many business owners do the same thing year after year and they're getting really bad results, but they've been doing it for 10 years? Do they really have 10 years of experience or 10
1
1 year
years.
experiences
Yeah.
of sucky results, right? And that's what we want to not do. And that's why this weekly assessment, this weekly review is so important for us.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, and you're absolutely right. I mean, it's funny you said 10 years. Most of the business owners that I've seen who go through that last about 3, maybe
Yeah,
4, and then
yeah,
they fall, then they just get frustrated. But
yeah,
I think when we're at the end of the week, it's important to really do 2 things. It's important to, first, one thing I like to do is I like to look back at those, kind of going back to step 1, those key things that I wanted to do during those days
yeah.
and say, did I get to it? Did I get those
Right,
things done?
right,
And some days it's a yes, some days it's a no. And I think at
right.
the end of the week, it's a good time to look back and say, if it's a no,
Yeah,
why? Like, why
right, right,
didn't
right,
I? And then I
right.
can
Yep.
fix the following week, right? And say, okay, here's the thing. But another important thing in the weekly review, and this is something I really got into last year, is looking at the magic moments from the week and looking at the things from the week where I won, because it's so easy to forget. And I
Yeah,
guarantee you, in December of 2025, you're going to forget those little wins you had in, January. So,
yep.
taking a couple minutes just to journal those and write them somewhere where you can go
Hmm.
back and review them. If you want to have a great 2025, one of the best things you can do is document the greatness and go back and
Right.
look at it later.
Yeah, yeah. And I love what you said there is the magic moments. And I think we do forget. We don't. I don't think we typically forget the big ones. The major milestones in your life, but the daily successes and victories. That's why journaling is important to do. Reviewing your day, but writing them down so that way that victory list is key. Oftentimes, not only to set up your goals for the next year, but also just to give you some confidence and sometimes a boost that's needed that, wow, I did accomplish a lot. My victories list is pretty long. I didn't realize this. And the smaller victories oftentimes lead to the bigger victories, and just like habits, the smaller habits are going to lead to bigger habits and bigger results. So I think that's very, very important to do.
And that's a really good point because I mean I think the I achieved my black belt this year is easy to remember, but
Yeah,
those like I had a really meaningful conversation, with my daughter. Those are the
yeah,
ones that when you look back you go, oh yeah, I remember that. That was a really cool part of this year. But they
right,
don't tend to make the grand victory list. So,
right.
I think really making that time every week to sit down and review is just such a cool tip.
It is for
Um,
sure.
so let's go back and review our 3 habits that will transform your life this year. And these are things you can start doing immediately, like right now.
Now,
So now with an exclamation point and a light bulb.
yep.
Number 1, start your day with intention. Write down, that one priority that you want to tackle for the day that's really going to move you forward towards your goals.
Number 2 is adopt a Keystone habit. And it doesn't necessarily have to be every day, but it can be for the week or for the month, depending on the habit. But that Keystone habit that's going to make a huge difference at the end of a year.
Number three, set up that weekly review. So every Sunday night or Saturday night or whenever you want to do it, take time once a week to sit down and look at the past week and see how you did and see how you can improve for the following week. And take some time to really look at those magic moments and those victories from the week. So we're carrying that with it, focusing on it, and getting more of those victories moving forward. And that wraps up this episode of the Achieve Results Now podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will catch you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Hop over to our website at www.achieveresultsnow.com to get your free copy of our book, Ignite Results, 4 specific daily actions to help you achieve results now. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Achieve Results Now. Thanks for listening, commenting, and subscribing. Now get out there and achieve results now.